As all of you know, this was a venue that was moved from the Greater Cleveland Partnership, and we were happy to host today's event, which is filled with a lot of purpose and intention, not the least of which is to first introduce myself. I'm Roger Salant. I'm the Executive Director of the Fowler Center for Sustainable Value. Today's program, we're going to talk about how to build cultures that include embedding sustainability in our value system. And fortunate for all of us, we have a person who is well known to everyone, Chuck Fowler, who can speak to the processes that he's gone through in conjunction with his work with Bill Conway for now almost, what, 20 years, roughly? 30. And basically, what they've done is they've built a culture where they are open, they have an open door practice, they involve all their employees in building a community, and they understand that people who are part of a community who learn to grow and develop together find both the value of work and the value in their personal lives increasing. And probably more importantly than all of that is that being part of an aspirational vision motivates them to work toward a higher purpose. In lots of ways, the higher purpose is defined by doing good and doing well. In other instances, it's about future generations and a longer-term view for the health of the whole planet. So Chuck is going to talk about the Fairmont Minerals story. He'll be followed by Nicole Mendelson from Pyramid Air, who's going to talk about her experience in the sustainability circles, a process that's part of the Fowler practice. We have a scholarship part and a practice part, and one of the things we're trying to do in the community is to work with members of the community so that we can learn together how to embed sustainability into the practices of your business. And probably one of the most important lessons is to just get started. And then Bo Dane will talk to you about, who's the manager in the Fowler Center for Sustainable Value. He will talk to you about the sustainability circles, true market solutions, and how to get involved. So with that, what I'd like to do is introduce Chuck Fowler, who will be the main course of the meal today. And he will tell us his story, and I'm hoping that you'll listen in a way to say, where could I do something similar in my work? Chuck?
Well, good morning, and thank you all for coming out. Just a lovely early morning, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the Cozy Group putting on these seminars and making this opportunity available to all of us here in the Cleveland, and thanks to the Weatherhead School for making an adjustment so that we could all have an opportunity to not only see the building and the beautiful building we've got here, but also accommodate the group that we put together. So thank you all for coming. I'm going to talk a little bit about Fairmont Minerals, and at the end of that, we'll have some opportunity for some questions and answers. And I've got lots of great people here to give all the answers you ever wanted from the program, because a lot of what we are able to do is really the work that is done by our Fairmont family, and appreciate that. So I'm going to start off with a short video about sand. Think a little introduction to for Fairmont Minerals, and thanks to our group to put all that together. And it's obviously a very excellent company that we're all very proud of, and we're very proud of our do good, do well, and very proud of the people that we serve. I'm not sure that I can do much better than that in video, but we want to start every program that we do with a safety message, because safety is very important to us in the mining industry, and particularly at Fairmont Minerals. And I want to remind you that June is National Safety Month, and there's a number of things that you can look at doing. One is week 1 of June was focusing on employee wellness. I got an email last night about that, and I have to get my report in. And the PALA, which is the President's action on activity, increasing activity, 30 minutes a day. And small changes can make a difference. Week 2 was on ergonomics, focused primarily on lifting, because lifting is one of the major causes of accidents in the workplace and at home, by the way. Week 3 was preventing slips, trips, and falls. And then week 4 is driving safely and driving safety. And you can imagine that's probably going to focus on texting and driving. And we don't do that. Right? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. A little bit about Fairmont Minerals. We have 29 locations around the world. Most of them are here in the greater Midwest. And most of our mining operations are in the greater Midwest, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio. We do have coating plants around the country, around the world. We have a plant in Denmark, we have a plant in China, and a plant in Mexico, along with the other areas. And we have numerous terminals around the country to supply our product. We are, as the video showed, we are in the foundry industry. It was one of the oldest industries we've been involved with. The sand is used to make the molds and the cores for the metal casting industry. We are in turf and landscape. We're in the oil and gas business, and we're better known as the frac sand. So we are the frac sand folks, and I'm very proud of it. Water filtration, your water in the Cleveland area is filtered with our sand from Chardon, along with many other places around the world. And the glass industry that you saw, where we sand is about 75% of glass. And so those great beer bottles that Pat gets over here, we're right in there with him. And the construction industry, industrial, and retail. Yes, we do supply colored play sand, because the world has been waiting for colored play sand, and it is now here at your friendly Walmart and Toys R Us. So please pick up a few bags, and you get 4 colors, so anything you like. Our Fairmont family is 763 of our total family group, 658 domestic, 105 international. We really, really do get involved with all of our family members, and we really are family members. The way we do business is people, planet, and prosperity. And we certainly do put people first. But we as the Fairmont family are united in our commitment to exceed all expectations while fulfilling our economic, social, and environmental responsibilities. I have to read that every time because it's way too long, so we changed that to do good, do well. And that's our trigger term that everybody can understand, and everybody knows that that's what we are about and what we're going to be working toward. So what is sustainability? Obviously, it's a big word that a lot of people have been using of late in business, et cetera. For example, here at Case Western, President Snyder has signed on to the climate change doctrine for President's universities, and Case Western itself is doing a lot of activities in the area of sustainability and environmental consciousness and so forth. So it is development that meets the needs and aspirations of a current generation without compromising the ability to meet those for future generations. And we're a mining company. We do disturb the earth, and we do extract from the earth. And it's very hard for us to make 400 million year old sand again. So the way we have to function and work with it, as you'll see through the presentation, is through novel ideas of focusing on people, on the planet, and on prosperity, and utilizing our product and our customers and their utilization of product for the betterment of the world. So there's a lot of definitions about sustainability and sustainable as being sustained, relating to, and you can read this as well as I can, so I'll leave that to you. But it's looking at sustainability as a long-term maintenance and responsibilities, environment, economic, and social dimensions, and it comes as a concept of stewardship and responsible management of resource use. Well, why SD, or we shorten it to SD as Sustainable Development? Why? It's the right thing to do. Now we can have coffee and donuts and rolls and chat and so forth, because that's really, but you didn't get up and come here at 7:30 to finish that off quickly, but because it really is the right thing to do. And it's the basis of what we're doing, what we do as a company, what we all do as a group. But it's in line with our corporate culture and past continuity of our past. And this is something that Bill Conway has brought to us from many, many years ago, and Bill and I have been able to collaborate a lot over the next number of years to be able to do that. But it really, really does fit with our corporate culture, and has for a long time. And many of you will probably think about, how do we get the culture for sustainability? And you can. And you can, we've been able to show over the years that, okay, maybe we had it from our parents, or we had it from our previous business opportunities. But as we have grown and added new groups to this organization, we can get them on the train also. So it's not something that you have to have been born with. You can acquire sustainability, and you can move forward with it. And there's a strong business case for it, and we'll go through that in a few moments. So how do we do it? We engage all the stakeholders, empower the participants, and get out of the way. Now there's a couple of spots there. Engage all the stakeholders, because the stakeholders aren't just the management group or the employee group. The stakeholders are everybody that's involved in our business, whether it be our customers, our suppliers, most importantly, our communities. Again, we're in the mining business. It's very hard for us to move. We can't move. We need to be there. We're going to be there for that period of time. So we need to work together with our, not only with our communities, not only because it's the right thing to do, as we said earlier, but it's good for us. And there's value that we can generate out of that community involvement and being in that workplace. And getting out of the way is a big, enjoyable thing, and we get to enjoy the ride. Right, Bill? And it really is, it's a lot of fun when you get 760 plus people who are really focused on doing the right thing, doing good, and doing well. We get a lot done, and we get a lot done without a lot of fanfare, et cetera. So it really is a lot of fun with that way. So our evolution within Fairmont Minerals is, it's been way back when. People ask many times, when did you start this thought of sustainable development, et cetera? I'm not sure we all knew what the title was, but certainly, I grew up on a farm, and Bill, with his background, it was very much a part of that culture and part of what he was working with. I can tell you the first day on the job in the sand business in 1978, I was at a plant, our plant in Michigan, and we were known as dune rapers. Should have known that before I took the job, probably. But and that was, that's not good. And so we embarked on a program to figure out, okay, how do we change this? And really, we had to change it from our employees first, and then we moved on out to the community. But I can tell you that facility in 2005 won the Audubon Society Business of the Year in the state of Michigan. So it does pay, because it's still there, as for one item. And and the people enjoy it. The people enjoy working there. So, but in 2005, we had our first summit. This was after many of us had the opportunity of going to the Case Western Weatherhead School EMBA program. Had the great opportunity of spending some time with David Cooperrider and understanding appreciative inquiry. And we really wanted to see and focus on utilizing appreciative inquiry into our culture building of Fairmount Minerals. So our first Sustainable Development Summit was in 2005, which David and his crew helped us with. And we built, SD teams were formed. We joined the UN Global Compact at that time, and quickly followed by the Case Western Reserve University, actually, joining the Global Compact. And our first annual CSR report was published in 2006. CSR report is Corporate Social Responsibility Report to the UN Global Compact. And the second one was in 2008 to 2010. We had our second summit in 2008, and we had our third summit in 2011. And we'll go through some of the other, some of the aspects of those summits here in a moment. Because it's really been an integral part of how we've been able to continue to progress and continue to incorporate sustainable development and people and our culture into every one of our organizations. Because during this period, we've grown a lot. And we typically find that in between each summit that we have about 40% of our people have not been at a summit. So they've not had that opportunity of really all coming together into the same room and understanding the process. And the Sustainable Process and Implementation Program, the Organize of Success, is information sharing, implementation, stakeholder engagement, and goal setting. It's kind of the four corners of it. And we really do it because one of the questions we get often is, who cares? What are you doing all this for? And we'll talk about some of the monetary parts of it here. But the real answer to that is that, all of your stakeholders care, and all of your stakeholders have a part in it. And in today's world, as you're coming on to the new generation of our employee groups, they care a lot about it. And if you're not on the game, you're going to have a tougher time getting the best employees and the best graduates coming out of colleges today, because they do care about environment, they do care about the sustainability, and they do care about people and the planet. And those who are in it and have a culture that allows that to grow are going to be the winners. You're going to have the best, brightest, and the most opportunity for success. But we do a little shareholder mapping, and our employees, we look at the financial performance, community investment, certainly our labor practices, our health and wellness we measure, we talk about, and environmental practices and workforce development, and really safety. And we work with our customers, we work with our suppliers for great ideas and great opportunities, and we really work with our neighbors a lot because they're very important to us. So with the summits, we really pull together everybody from our organizations, not only our employee base, but also our customers, our stakeholders, our suppliers, our board of directors, our bankers, our accountants, just as many people as you could think of within our stakeholder group that we could bring together to talk about our future and what we're going to be able to accomplish. And it really was all about and around people. So we formulated a number of teams, and we voted with our feet because we're all in the same room. And we had about, first one was 300 and some, almost 400. And so we had a lot of conversations about that, and then everybody voted with their feet as to what they wanted to work on, and what groups they wanted to be with, what teams they wanted to focus on. And so we established those. In the next subsequent summits that we've had, we do somewhat the same thing from the standpoint of a report out, where are we, what are we doing, what do we brainstorm, what else would we like to do, what we'd like to make some adjustments. But all those ideas and all that participation comes from the people in the room. It's totally a swelling out of the group and focus from the group up to really formulate how we function within Fairmont. And then, let's see, we had up to 15 teams. Now we're at 13? 14? 13. Okay. Thank you. And in the past number of years, we have gone through a lot of goals, for example. Typically, a corporation says, well, you get about 4 or 5 goals, anything more than that you can't handle. First summit year, 2005, our 2006 goals were 97, and has stayed in that range, for quite a while. We finally had a goal to bring it down, so we got down to 84 the next year, and now we have them in more of a broader grouping. We have 13 bold goals that we function on, and we have a number of little sub goals within that. So it becomes much more manageable and reportable. I'm telling you some of the stuff we'll show on a slide, but I'll go through it pretty quickly then. That has led us to one of the other things that we all agreed to, again, in that first summit, was let's put some value to this. So everybody within Fairmont Minerals, everybody, 50% of their bonus is based on how well we do on those goals, on those 97 goals back in 2005. And so that makes it important, and it gives credence and value to it. And we've actually done quite well on that. And I think our first year we were at 90-some% of our goals in 2006. And we've been doing very well since that time, and it really goes forward. Okay, this is just a little quick picture of how to best move the organization to change. This is from our 2008 summit. Really, just a top-down strategy. This is a question. What's best? Top-down strategy, deficit-based, problem-solving, or appreciative inquiry? Of course, we truly believe that it's appreciative inquiry that makes that difference. What is appreciative inquiry? I got a little story at the end there with this, but it's a change management system. It really engages the entire system, bringing everybody together from the organization to solve and direction of the future. It's strength-based. Appreciative means, kind of the positive side, certainly. So we focus on the strong part and the strength, and you won't hear much conversation about what's wrong or what do we got to fix and so forth. You really focus on what's right, because that will end up taking care of whatever the negative is. And the power of positive image. This is something I remember from way, way back with David Cooperrider and it's a great example of how appreciative inquiry and positive image can help. If you really want to get your golf buddy messed up, when he gets up at the tee, you say, watch out for those trees on the right. Where's he going to go? Trees on the right. And it works. It works very well. But if you would, you say, the best spot on the fairway is in the middle of the fairway from your drive, then there's a higher probability that golfer will get there. But there's just an enormous amount of value in positive imaging, and we really like to utilize that as much as we can within our organization. Appreciative inquiry has 4 stages. Discover, which is kind of discover who we are, what are we, what would we like to do, then dream about what we would like to be, how we would like to fulfill those opportunities. Spend some time designing that to become so that you're actually moving forward in a good manner that's going to get you to the end. And then to have destiny or deploy that strategy. So that's the 4 Ds of appreciative inquiry. It's not difficult, but it's remarkable in its involvement. It's remarkable in its results, and the only way it really works is you got to have everybody involved. So this was back in 2005, and that's a group of us in Chicago area where we had the meeting. We called it SiO2, which is the chemical definition of sand. But it was sustainability in our organization, and we really had a fabulous time and created a lot of opportunities. I'll give you some quickies. You know, the mission statement, the do good, do well, came out of this conference with all 200 plus people coming up with that idea and that opportunity, and it stuck very, very well. So those old business things about you got to have a group of 5 sitting in a corner making up the business mission statement. You can do that, but it's not going to be very successful. And our bold goals were people, planet, and prosperity. These are our 8 major bold goals that were established back in 2005, and we still have them. They focus on the 3 pillars of our sustainability program of people, planet, and prosperity. In 2008, we got together again, and we had grown. So we had 300 plus employees, plus about 350. We came together in Minneapolis, Minnesota, to really look at focus on everyone's tomorrow. And this was a picture of us doing a day of caring at a park outside of Minneapolis. And that group did a lot of work that day, a lot of work. Then we had our Bring Your Inspired Self in 2011, and we came to Cleveland, in downtown Cleveland, and we had 437 people from 5 countries who participated. Inspiration leads and innovation, new partners, new ideas. We also had a day of caring. We went to the Cuyahoga National Forest and did 3,170 volunteer hours in one day, and did things that they just would have never been able to accomplish on their own in many, many years. So it was a great day, a fulfilling day, and there we are getting ready to be load the trains to go down to be dropped off at our assigned work spots. So we had a fabulous day and got an enormous amount of work done for the Cuyahoga National Forest. Our teams, our current teams are best practices, business innovation, clean water, communications, appreciative, environmentally responsible products, Fairmont Minerals University, health and wellness, recover, recycle, and reuse, 3R team, safety, social responsibility, sustainable value chain, sustainable mobility, which is transportation, and our quest for eco-efficiency. So you can see there are people, planet, and prosperity mixed all the way through on these teams. And we have, how many people we have involved in the teams? 500? Around the world, 500 people are involved in these teams. And obviously they've got to do it very energetically and very interesting ways because we're everywhere. We're all over the country and all over the world in different spots, but they're really used well. Our goals for everyone are team designed. In 2007, I said we had 59 goals, 97% completion. I think I had those numbers backwards. 2008, we had 57 goals because we had a goal to reduce the number of goals. And in 2009, we gave up on that goal, went to 63. 2010 was 55 goals. We are moving it down, and 2012 we're 13 bold goals. We still have many other sub goals under there, but trying to be able to coordinate. You have to learn some things as you go, and learn some things, a way of functioning and making it better. And currently to date, we're at 36% of this year's. So one thing that tells you, we do measure it, and every goal is measurable. And we do measure it, and we measure it on a, well, at least a monthly basis, on a report basis, but we measure it more often than that. But one of the questions I get many times when I make a presentation to business people and so forth is, how does this pay? I mean, what's the value to this? So we took on many number of years ago the fact that we need to track this. We need to know what are we getting out of it. How do we answer that question other than it makes us feel good and it's the right thing to do, which should be enough, but we got to put some dollars to it. So this is 2011. Our teams and the company, et cetera, spent, and including a sizable summit, we spent $5 million, almost $6 million on our SD program. A lot of money. And a lot of people would say, well, how can you justify and spend that? Well, the values and the savings that we've got in 2011, with $500,000 came from our facility savings on energy. Our team savings and revenues were $11 million. A little over $11 million. So we had a savings revenue of $11.6 million, so had a nice payback of $5.7 million. That's pretty good payback. It's a very nice return that we'd all love to have on any project we have. And this is the dollar value that we measure, does not include the overall value, obviously, that we gained within the company and our communities and the values of our involvement with all of our stakeholders. So it does pay. And I can very truthfully, and we can tell you in numbers that it does pay. And I encourage everyone to look at from that standpoint of it's not just a cost reduction program, and it's not just greenwashing, but it does truly pay in your businesses and your companies to follow these efforts. So doing business globally, caring locally is very much of something we look at. We do a lot of things with our local communities. We have annual internship opportunities at our companies. We certainly participate in the Jaga Growth Partnership and Leadership Jaga. We have annual days of caring at all of our facilities, plus a big one on the company level. But every one of our facilities has multiple days of caring, school tours, health fairs, and we have a biannual open house, which we lovingly call a party in the pit. And I think last year we had about 1,200 people come to our party in the pit, and got a couple of things about that in a moment. Well, there's the party in the pit in Chardon, and this was our first zero waste party in the pit. So there was no waste generated, no landfill waste generated. Some people didn't eat their chicken wing, but no landfill waste generated from this party. And our plant in Chardon, Ohio is at the brink of being a zero waste facility, including bills in my office. Zero waste. So no landfill waste from our sand plant in Chardon, Ohio, which is a fantastic feat. And it was led by one of our maintenance guys at the plant, who just really has taken this as a compassion and has done a fabulous job. We've contributed our time, talent, and treasures into Jaga County. We're focusing at this point on Northeast Ohio. commitment to a healthy Geauga County, a lot of volunteer hours, 10,000 since 2005. A lot of our family members are on boards in Geauga County. We've also, we're a big supporter of Observatory Park, which is out in Geauga County, and Habitat for Humanity, the hospitals, mental health, Chardon District, and fire, etc. And we've built playgrounds, we built all kinds of opportunities. And we have an annual golf outing called the Bill Conway golf outing that the proceeds go to United Way, which is the largest single contribution to United Way in Geauga County. Caring for our planet, we have a commitment. We have over 100,000 trees have either been donated or planted nationwide in the last 2 years, and this year 63,800 already in 2012. We do this in a number of different ways. Some of it is we actually support nature conservancy, et cetera, and planting of trees in different parts of the world. We have a lot of tree planting programs with our employees and our communities that we work on. One of the big projects this year was that our Quest team went to Pennsylvania and planted trees at the memorial site where the plane went down in Pennsylvania. And that was a very moving, and a lot of families went down for the weekend, and we've got some just fabulous articles from the kids of our families who were there and the effort working on that. And again, we're approaching zero waste at our Chardon facility, and we're also looking at how to change from diesel fuel to LNG, CNG for not only our own vehicles at the plant, but also our trucking companies that take our material to our customers. And we're looking at how we might be able to play that part into that to make that happen. Although Pat, if we could find enough French fryers, we'd be happy to do it with French fries. So we'll keep looking at it. This is one of our Quest teams, planting trees, and I'm ready for questions. So thank you all, and I'd love to have any questions.
Bo has the mics, but I would wonder, Chuck and Bill, you have a very powerful retrospective in building the culture. Along the way, there had to have been some moments of challenge, and I wonder if you could just illustrate what that was like and what you did to overcome some things that were filled with uncertainty and were putting you under the test.
And Chuck, if you would repeat the question for everyone, please.
The question was, during this period of time of growing this culture and getting to the level that we are in the sustainable development, there had to be some periods of time of challenge and some period of time of conflict with that process. And we'll give Bill a microphone to see what his response might be. Unfortunately, what immediately comes to my mind is, yeah, we had a couple of people who didn't really want to stay on the train. So we asked them to get off the train. And because that was the only real answer to that. I mean, there was we certainly did have some who just didn't believe this or didn't think that this was something that they ought to be spending their time on. But we asked them to get off the bus, and they did. I can't come. I'm at a loss to come with what was the problem. A lot of people bought into it. A lot of people. Most of our people have certainly bought into it. They've been very. There were certainly some initial questions about, right? Is this really true? Are they really going to have that opportunity? Because we had done, and many of you have been through them. We had done TQM. We had done management by objective. We've done quality circles. Those didn't work very well, and they didn't work very well because they were all top down. And you know, all the folks on the line got was an opportunity to report, and write a report and send it in and so forth. But it didn't get anywhere. It didn't get them anywhere. And so we really believe that the appreciative inquiry style and the focus on sustainable development has got sustainability to it. So that was probably our biggest challenge was getting people to believe it and getting people to participate. Although the participation came pretty fast once you opened the door and allow it to occur. Any thoughts, Bill, that come?
Well, I would agree with Chuck that probably the biggest obstacle over the years is the fact that although Chuck and I, as Chuck alluded to, from whether it be a family basis or a cultural basis of our bringing up, certainly agreed that this is the right approach, that we had to be responsible for the impact we have in our communities and with the world around us. But it was a top-down. We weren't very effective in communicating that throughout the organization until we really got involved with appreciative inquiry. So I've got to give Case Western Reserve and David Cooperrider a lot of credit for awakening our imagination to implement a program such as this, and the involvement. Chuck's absolutely right. One of the things we had to overcome was, well, here's another idea that Chuck and Bill have come up with, and you know, how long is this one going to last? And they, as we went through the program and started having the summit, it became very clear very early on that we were serious in saying this is something that the organization has got to buy into and will buy into because we asked them to when we involved them early on. And it's been remarkable. I'll give you one illustration, though, of how that might have been implemented. In the first summit, we had quite a discussion which David was leading about the 3 Ps of sustainability, which people, planet, and profit. We discussed that each term very in some depth at that summit, and quickly agreed that people is number one. It still is number one as far as our organization is concerned, and I personally. The planet, that was rather easy to accept as well, that we have an impact. As Chuck says, we're in the mining business, and we immediately have an impact, and therefore we have a responsibility, perhaps even more significant than other industrial organizations, to make sure we're doing the right thing in the communities, and we show them that there is a benefit to them in the way we impact the community, create jobs, and give back. The discussion then was about the word profit. David and I have someone we share in common as great respect for, and that's Peter Drucker. And I went through a big discussion at the meeting how, you know, profit is not a dirty word. It is a cost. It's a cost of the capital, financial capital and intellectual capital that anyone puts into a business, and it is something that is necessary and worthwhile. And that I was advocating that certainly is the right way to look at it. Wrong. The rest of the group, the other 300 plus, all said, Bill, you've got it, you know, you're partially right, but that's too narrowly focused. We've got to look at the impact of what we do in the prosperity of the areas that we work in, the prosperity of each of the individuals that we impact, whether they be employees, shareholders, community representatives, our schools. So it is a broader program. We have to be thinking outside of ourselves as the entire program. So I lost that one. Now, you know, that's a little bit of an ego problem, but I've grown adjusted to it.
Okay, good. Very good. Very good. Thank you. I think we've won him over. Maybe. Question?
Chuck, I have a question.
Okay.
You mentioned that sustainability and sustainable development pays, and wonderful illustration of how that's paid in dollars and cents. Could you talk a little bit about how that's impacted things like retention and employee morale, and the fact that your goals go right to the heart of an individual's need to know that they're making a fundamental contribution, not only to the company, but to the world at large?
Thank you. We have a lot of examples of that particularly, and I appreciate that. And actually, I'll use an example of a person that you brought to us. And she's here, so I'm going to embarrass the hell out of her. Sharon came to us 5 years ago, been spending a lot of years with General Motors. I spent a few years with General Motors. I fortunately got out of there earlier than she did. And I would walk in the office and walk down the hallway and say good morning to Sharon, and wow, what culture did you grow up in? And now that certainly isn't the case anymore, and Sharon is leading a big part of our organization, et cetera. That's just one example, and it, sure, it has a lot to do with how everybody is treated and how everybody feels with each other, but it has a lot to do with the fact that you're listened to, you're empowered. Now, along with empowerment, by the way, comes responsibility, and everybody steps up to that. Your specific answer is our retention rate is incredibly high, and our participation rate is very, very high. One of the items that we have down here that SD pays is that we have a very strong wellness program all across our company, and in every direction and so forth. We have a very rich health and welfare business plans. It's very, very well covered in all directions, and we have an older workforce because as retention continues, obviously you get older. But our rate per employee, we're self-insured, so it's a full cost, but our rate per employee for I guess what you call a Cadillac plan, is in the $11,000 per employee range, and that's full family. We don't charge anything for family coverage, or excuse me, we don't charge anything for employee coverage. We charge $50 a month for family coverage. So it's pretty, but what we get out of that is performance from our employees and our employees' families. Probably one of the best decisions we ever did, and it was done because of some other things within the industry, but in 1988, we stopped smoking. And we decided as a group to implement no smoking in our facilities and so forth, but back in 1988. Well, that is really, if anybody wants to really understand what the value of that is, you can look at our health and welfare records and show the value of doing that. So, I mean, it's never too late, but having done it, a number of years ago has really paid off well for us in our health and welfare of our employees. Everybody wins. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Laura Phillips with Symantec Corporation. Sticking with the sustainability pays slide, I'm wondering if you can go into a little bit more detail on what those figures encompass. So does the outlay include things like local grant making, and then what are you measuring in terms of the savings?
Bo, would you give the microphone to that lady right there?
Sure. So the cost associated with that, about 5.8 million, it does include our foundation costs. It also includes paid volunteer time. So every Fairmount family member has 40 hours of paid volunteer time throughout the year, annually. So that's also included in that, as well as costs associated with our sustainable development teams. So.
But any travel costs with all the teams, any meeting costs that would occur?
I think your second part of the question is revenues as well? Okay, so we have teams that are working on some of those cost savings. So one of them is health and wellness. So we have had a consistent reduction in our healthcare costs, so that's part of it. One of the teams was working on a transportation initiative where we can load rail cars more, so it's more of an operational savings for us. And we've installed 2 solar arrays, so we count some of those savings in terms of reductions in energy savings. And
The bag recycled bag project that actually came out of the first summit in 2005, which has made enough money each year to pay for the program, where we went from a wood pallet, cardboard box, plastic liner to a recycled plastic bag that goes till it's, has damage, and then it gets ground up and recycled again. And that idea came from our first summit in 2005 from one of the groups, and it does $600,000-700,000 a year of savings. Yes, Bill.
My name is Bill Doty. I'm an architect, and I also have a Chuck in my organization, Chuck Miller. And I wanted to find out from you guys, you've been in business a long time, and was it an epiphany or just a growth in 2005? You read something that caused you to embrace the sustainability thing. What caused that in your company?
Again, the start can go way back to a lot of our backgrounds in agriculture and farming and so forth. But I think what probably triggered more of the okay, now it's time to really expand this into our entire organization. That we decided to do this in 2005 to really get sustainable development into our organization. Really, I'll have to give a lot of the credibility to, again, the EMBA program and taking and understanding appreciative inquiry, and becoming an understanding and a believer in that appreciative inquiry approach on being able to get the entire group involved in the effort. And then we said, okay, we could do that. What's the best thing for us to get involved with? I mean, we could have done it on any number of subjects, if you will, but that sustainable development was something that we, as a mining company, have always paid attention to and needed to pay attention to, and we needed to grow that from our communities and from our people standpoint as a way of maintaining and growing our own business. So I think it was just being able to couple those things together, say, okay, we'd like to use appreciative inquiry, we'd like to use that model, we do, but let's formalize it. And what's the tagline? What is it we want to hook onto it? And we felt that sustainable development was the right thing to do. 2006, we signed on with the UN Global Compact. We had become believers in the BAWB, which is Business as an Agent for World Benefit, and so it just seemed logical that we would do it for sustainable development.
I would just add that it also takes a champion or champions. And we had Chuck and Jennifer Deckard, who both said, hey, we really need to do something about this, and let's buy in. They had, Chuck had been exposed to David Cooperrider's approach, and he got his EMBA, Jennifer as well, and they both in discussions of the three of us that really we need to engage the entire organization. So you need a champion, and then you say this is the right thing to do, and you find a way to do it.
My name is Patrick Conway. I own Great Lakes Brewing Company. For years, we've had to break the paradigm of take, make, waste to take, make, remake. And we had a lot of success with that, but we followed the success of Fairmont Mineral, and we did exactly what they did. And I'm a living, breathing testimonial to the value of a summit and an AI approach to your business.
Hi, my name is Deborah Light. My company is Central Fiber. We recycle paper and make fiber out of it. I have two questions. One involves your industry and your competition and kind of the reaction of all of this, you know, if it's made a big difference in your industry in general. And number two, do you find that you're able to take on even bigger goals? In other words, you've been doing this for a long time. I would imagine some of your very large projects have been accomplished. And how do you take on, you know, even larger projects that are meaningful?
Well, first from the industry standpoint, we've actually, I think, launched a couple of businesses from this, from the standpoint of the industry. You know, a local company, you know, Brown Flynn, has been a very big help for us in getting us started and going in the communications side of it, and continue on with the marketing side of it. They have obviously established a business now of helping with the GRI, which is a global reporting initiative for companies who want to get involved with the UN Global Compact and reporting. Our industry, the National Industrial Sand Association and National Industrial Minerals Association, has started up a Sustainable Development Committee. A couple of our folks have been the chairs of that ever since it started. But we've got a lot of sign-on and a lot of interest from a lot of big mining operations around the world and the country into that. And they've established some excellent groundwork base. You know, if you have some links on our website, you can get to what they're doing, and basically putting the things together that you can do and how you might go about doing them. So that's occurred. We've gotten a number of awards. We had the first award by U.S. Chamber of Commerce for social responsibility, community relations. You know, I think it's a lot broader than that, but that's okay. I mean, we'll take the award. That's fine. We had the first award from the National Association of Manufacturers from the first award that they gave for social responsibility. We've gotten the Ford Motor Company World Social Responsibility Award. So there's been a number of recognitions from that, but you know, really the value is in the everyday opportunities and everyday action. And a number of our competitors have seen the value of that and have started working in those directions, some of them more than others. And we're happy to work together with them. And again, our people are the leaders of the committee that focuses on sustainable development within our industry. And we're very happy to share, very happy to do that. The other side of that question was?
Bigger initiatives. You're running out of any.
Well, you know, so far we haven't run out yet. And because it's really the communities are kind of our next focus. The last couple of years, we've focused more and more on our communities, not only just, you know, helping schools and education, but that's one of our big emphasis. Last year, it was kind of number one on our list, and we decided we liked it so well, we're doing it again this year, because we see education as a major initiative that needs to be done in a nice way, but we also see it as we've got to, if you're going to be sustainable, we have got to do a better job of education. And obviously we've been very much involved in Chardon during, with the crisis that we had there, and our group has really led the efforts and the healing of going on in Chardon, but on a, somewhat of a, not necessarily as a positive side, is that we found we have trouble hiring high school graduates out of Chardon. And it's the skills, they know math and they know how to write. But as you can see, in sustainable development and this kind of activities, you've got to have you got to have the soft skills. You got to have the social skills. You got to be able to talk with people, and you got to work together with people, and you got to communicate. And that's what we need. I mean, we've got to have that for this to continue. Now, we can help and train and do all those kinds of things, but we're just finding that that's a problem in the education of where we are in our areas, and we're working together with our local schools to try to help that.
Hi, my name is David. I'm a finance student here at Case. I just wanted to know what some of your more polluting activities were, since you are a mining company, and how you plan on fixing those or making it more sustainable activity overall.
All right, David, let me get this. We're a mining company, but how do we see ourselves becoming more sustainable?
In terms of like the activities that your company is involved in that are the most damaging to the earth overall.
Okay.
Like I'm sure, I don't know, fracking or other activities with sand. I don't know the industry too well, but I'd imagine there's some areas,
okay.
or if you could speak about areas that you have tackled that were the most challenging for polluting.
Well, certainly the first area would be is that, okay, what do we do with a mined facility, and how can we one, bring it back to a useful purpose faster than what had always been done in the past, and how can we reuse and make this property reusable by the public to a better purpose even than it was, which may be, depending on where you are, but it may be recreation, it may be returning it to a more natural habitat for birds, animals, etc. I'll give you a very quick example. We have a mining operation up in central Michigan, and we take down these pine trees to clear the area, but all these pine trees are planted in a row. I don't know if you've driven through central northern Michigan or not, but well, nature didn't do that. That was done for reforestation for paper, I guess. And it's in a national forest, and so the national forest would be very happy and is very, very pleased with us in working with them to return this land to a more natural state, which is, again, more what nature had put there, which is far more sustainable than pine trees in a row. And it also attracts birds and birds that are flying through on their trips north and south, which is what used to happen and what nature was, and they're much more beneficial to that. So we work together with some organizations in that aspect of developing it from the ground up, so that the birds, it's got a natural habitat for them to be able to develop and come through. And that's just one example. We work with our customers to use our product in a way that it can be reused for another purpose, another product, which keeps from having to mine something else, somewhere else to supply whatever that, because everything remember, everything we have is either grown or mined. Everything. And so if we can figure out how to recycle and reuse it in some other fashion, you're going to reduce the impact of we are to the planet. So those are some of the things we do. We work with our foundry customers. Obviously, we work with our glass customers on recycling of glass. Our foundry customers, working with them on, we spent 5 years with data with the U.S. government and many parts of the U.S. government to get foundry sand classified as a permissible fill material and a permissible, actually many organizations are now turning it back into soil for for plants and so forth. So, but before that, it was only could go to a landfill, and there was no technical reason for that. But so working with organizations to do that, and we were the prime mover in making that happen with the U.S. government.
Yes, in your slide where you showed your return on investment in 2011, it looked pretty impressive. It was for just 2011, or it was cumulative for all the years leading up until in 2011? And either way, has the picture looked so well every year, or when you were starting, you had a ramp-up period when the return wasn't as great?
No, that was for 2011. Strictly for 2011, and our expectation is that that will at least be that or will grow. Now, admittedly, some ideas that started in 2005, which save us $500,000–600,000 a year, it continues on in 2006 and 2007, but it's not. We don't calculate it accumulatively. It's in the calendar year, within that calendar year. But we keep adding opportunities and new discoveries and new ideas from our people. So we expect that to continue to grow. I think probably in 2005 that number was more in the million or less of total value return. Just to continue to grow, but admittedly some things are repetitive, but we only count the calendar year. They're not accumulative. And we think that's important to focus on how we're doing and what are we doing this year, and obviously we want to see that continue to grow. Okay, thank you again, Chuck. Thanks. Thank you all. Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Chuck and Jesse and Kristen and Jennifer and the whole Fairmount family, a lot of you for being here today. My name is Bo Dane. I'm the manager of the Fowler Center. And as Roger Salant mentioned in the beginning, the Fowler Center is the academic center that bridges the gap between scholarship and practice. So in terms of scholarship, we produce books, articles, teaching cases, even tweets. And we have distinguished fellows who are exploring interesting topics like spirituality and business, or inner wisdom, or inner flourishing, and what does purpose and meaning at work mean. So that's some of our scholarship work. And then on the outreach or practice side, we work directly with clients. So either one-on-one or in an exciting new program called Sustainability Circles. And I wanted to speak to you very briefly about it. You might have seen this earlier when you were coming in, but very briefly, I'm just going to speak for about a minute. I think it's more valuable to hear from a company that's actually in the Sustainability Circles. So I'm going to introduce Nicole in a minute, but let me just give you the brief overview of what the Sustainability Circles are. It's a peer-based learning process over the course of 6 months. It's 1 full day per month where we take 6 to 10 businesses through a set curriculum. And the curriculum is in the built environment, operations, the natural and social environment. So just a couple examples in each of those. In the built environment, we look at issues around HVAC, lighting, building envelope, insulation, What are you doing with water? Gray water recycling, retention of water. In the operations environment, we're looking at things like supply chain and procurement. What's happening upstream and downstream in your supply chain? How are you greening your procurement policies, whether it's just from purchasing local food or purchasing recycled content paper? In the natural environment, we're looking at issues like what are your people's relationship to nature, and what is the physical footprint of your operations relationship to nature? We look at issues like biomimicry, which is really sort of the forefront of sustainability now, which is looking at how does nature do design, right? So how does, for example, the kingfisher bird, which is a very narrow beak, has actually been used to make trains more efficient, right? So this is a bird that can go from air to water without making a splash, the kingfisher bird. And some designers were saying, well, what can we learn from that? What can we learn from that bird as humans to improve our design for trains? Well, it turns out that looking at the kingfisher bird actually makes your design for trains 15% more efficient, and it also reduces the sonic boom when they go through tunnels. So this is a big issue in places like Japan. Another example of biomimicry is spider silk. It's stronger than Kevlar, and yet it takes no chemicals, and it doesn't take thousands of degrees to make. So that's the natural environment. And then the social environment, which is really probably the most important, and we heard Chuck speak a lot about that today. How do you actually engage your employees, right? How do you shift the mental models? How do you create change? How do you get people to recycle in some cases, right? To start, how do you get people to turn their computers off at night, or to open the blinds and turn the lights down? So again, the built environment, operations, natural and social environment. And the big outcomes, as you can see here, are sustainability action plans. So at the end of the 6 months, we want our 6 to 10 businesses to have a sustainability action plan that's really holistically integrated into their company, with buy-in in the company, carbon footprint analysis, many projects launched, and most importantly, a whole new lens on their business. One of the Circle participants in a Circle that happened in Iowa, this was the CEO of a bank, he was saying that they joined the Sustainability Circle process because they wanted to put a little green patina on their business. So basically they were admitting, this bank was admitting that they wanted to do a little greenwashing. But he said what happened as a result of the Circle was that they found a whole new lens, a whole new way to see their business, whole new revenue stream. So that's what we really hope to do. So how can you get involved? Our next, we have previews the 3rd Wednesday of every month. Right here at Weatherhead. The next Sustainability Circle preview is July 18th. So please join us for that. Thank you again to everyone. And as Nicole and Roger and Chuck all said, no matter where you are, just get started. Thank you.